A little while back, I redid my brakes and I put some ceramic pads and everything on here. And when I did it, I knew I was gonna need to replace the calipers, particularly on the driver's side, because it's been a little bit grabby. And I just didn't have the stuff at the moment to do it, so I just threw it back together. But now I've got the seals and everything, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull them off and rebuild them today. I'm gonna pull the line first. It's a 9/16 bolt. Now I'm just gonna let that drip because I'm gonna be changing all the fluid. Anyway, you could clamp the hose real lightly with a set of ice grips or something, but being it's 25 years old, doing that would probably screw the inside up, and then I'd have to be buying hoses right now. The actual caliper bolts are 1/2 inch. Just popping them off. So I fling brake fluid all over. Probably should have broke these loose first. You just want to be careful when you're pulling the caliper off, not to fling the brake fluid all over and get them all over your pads. These calipers here are in really good condition. That's why I decided to just rebuild them rather than replace them, because I can get these seal kits here. Got this from Rock Auto for like $4. And a new rebuilt caliper is like $35. And being in these are such good condition, it makes more sense just to rebuild them. I was surprised to find my bleeder screw seized in as tight as it is. I certainly don't want to snap it off in there. So what I'm going to do is I got a piece of metal, something to shield the rubber here, as I don't want to burn that up. And I'm going to hit it with my torch and then give it a shot of penetrant every now and then, and that will usually suck it down into threads to where you can get the thing off. Wrong stuff. There we go. A little heat and penetrant always does the trick. Don't want to grab it with your bare hand. Ask me how I know. After you get the bleeder cleaned off, get all the rust and crap off of it, you want to make sure that it's clear so it can actually be a bleeder. This kit came with a couple different dust seals, and the one that this caliper uses is the press-in style, but it also comes with the style here that uses it's like a round clip that goes around the outside edge of this. And that's what would snap this on. So being it came with both of these, I guess there's a possibility that you may have a truck that's got this style. I like this style better, but fortunately that's what I have. Now these dust boots come out pretty easy. They're not in real tight. It's not in like you'd expect a seal to be in. They're just kind of press fit in there. Like I'm doing this one-handed, so it shows you how easy they are to get out. And then you're left with your piston. Okay, to get the piston out, might put a couple rags there or something, just to protect it in case it shoots out of there too fast. And take some compressed air, just gently work it out. This one here, it's got some sludge up in there. Get it with my finger, probably be able to see it easier. There's sludge that's collected in there, and that's what contributes to these things starting to stick and not function properly. Right inside here is the gasket. You see it right there? That's the actual seal that holds the brake pressure when you're hitting the brakes. Then you want to go in there and clean it all out with some brake cleaner, get all that groove cleaned out. And then compressed air helps once you've done that, especially if you use a rag, because you want to get any lint out of there, because you don't want it sucking back up inside the brake line and then causing you to have more problems with your brakes sticking and so forth. Okay, then you just put a little dab of brake fluid in there. You want to get it all inside the bore. And take your new gasket, cover it up real good. And you want to put that gasket down in that groove. Just like that. Make sure it's good and lubed up. Next, you want to check out the piston. These look like they're some sort of a composite plastic type thing with a metal insert. But these look real good. If this was metal or if this was pitted or anything like that, you'd have to either get a new piston or most likely just get another caliper. Because at that point, you're getting to the cost to where it just makes sense to buy a rebuilt one. One thing you want to do though is try to clean this groove out as good as you can. Like a wire brush will work, but you just want to be careful. You don't want to scratch this up. You want to just get that rust and crud out of the groove, because that's where the dust seal goes. It snaps into there. Once you get the groove cleaned out and everything, you're going to want to get some brake fluid. Rub it on this thing. Put the brake fluid on the seal here. This shouldn't say seal, it's a dust boot. And then the dust boot, I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's like a little lip on the dust boot that goes into that groove. There. Like that. And the piston, you got to work down past the new seal. It's usually a little tight too. Get it started with a hammer handle. To make it simpler, I just use a C-clamp and press it in that way, just because it's smooth and even. And that dust boot presses in there pretty much by hand. It doesn't seat very far. It's not like a normal seal where you're going to have to pound it in. See, it's sticking out a little bit. You press it in by hand. Because I checked that before I took it apart to see what kind of gap there was, so I'm just kind of going by memory, but you can feel it press in there till it stops. And once you got it all in there, then it's all good. I changed out all the brake fluid, took it out for a drive, and it's not pulling to the left anymore like it was. To bleed all the brakes, I got one of these little brake bleeder things from Harbor Freight. It was like 27 bucks or something like that. And it seemed to work pretty decent. I don't know, I don't have anything to compare to, but I mean, it did the job. One thing I noticed was kind of funny is when I was bleeding the brakes, on one of the rear wheel cylinders and then on one of the front calipers, I had been pulling some fluid through, you know, trying to wait for the air bubbles to stop. And it just kept getting air bubbles, you know, and I had pulled enough fluid through to bleed the lines probably 3 times. So I just closed the bleeder and left it as it was and took it for a drive, and it was fine. So I don't know, maybe I was sucking in air from the bleeder itself, from the threads, I don't know. Or maybe the hose, it didn't look like it was coming through the hose, but it's possible. Kind of tore it up getting it off, but either way, it's working. So if you ever needed bleed brakes by yourself, it's definitely worth getting one of these, I would say.